my 6-year-old niece.
Mashallah, that's good. Yeah.
But then I noticed that you were answering anyone that had a question for you, you were answering, and I'm aware you're a good debater. And no one seemed to get one over on you, which was.
The thing is also there is that it can either be the debater who's very good at debating, or it can be the strength, or it can be the yeah.
Because you're already convinced. Do you understand? So all you're going to do is delay yourself. Yeah? And what did I say to you? That's all Satan has left for you. Procrastination.
The only difference that making the statement that you testified as having God only allies worthy of worship and that Muhammad is his messenger, the only difference it makes is these are the keys for paradise.
God doesn't care whether you believe he exists, whether you follow his guidance. Yeah, all right? Yeah. So when I say about the only thing worthy of surrender, submittance, and worship, and that, it means that there's nothing else. So I wouldn't turn to a man or a statue or an object and think this is worthy of my praise, this is going to help me, this is going to benefit me. Yeah. I truly, honestly believe the only thing that will benefit me in the long term as well as the short term is that creator that you say you believe in. I don't think nothing else can challenge that. Right. So that's the first proposition. Now, to be honest with you, if someone accepts the existence of a creator, that's an easy proposition to accept. Because if you imagine the criteria this creator must possess, must be all-powerful, all-knowing, all of these things. So, of course, that would be the thing that you would follow guidance from, especially something that's all-knowing. All right. I'm pretty sure you accept that proposition. All right. The second proposition is that Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, is a messenger of this creator. Yeah? So you accept that this man Muhammad was sent by this creator, and everything that this Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, is saying is coming from the creator you say you believe in. So this is the second proposition. It's a tougher proposition.
So that's a proposition where currently I haven't looked into it.
Right. I can give you a 5-minute guide to it. It's very simple. Yeah. You can go away and contemplate and reflect upon. No worries. Okay. What is the claim? Okay. The claim is that Muhammad, peace and blessing be upon him, is a messenger of God. Yeah. What is the counterclaim? God doesn't exist, so he can't be a messenger of God. First thing. Second thing, he's a liar, creating his own religion to benefit himself. Third claim, counterclaim, he's a madman, he's crazy, he's delusional, he thinks he's being taught by an angel when he's just all in his head. It's a schizo. Fourth counterclaim. And this counterclaim, the fourth one, only comes from whom? Christians. It was Satan. It was, the father of lies, imitated an angel, pretended to be an angel, and Muhammad fell for it. And okay. So you have a claim he's a messenger of God, and the counterclaims are what? He's a liar, he's a madman who is deceived, or there is no God, and he can't be a messenger of God, which would include liar or whatever. All right. Okay, Sherlock Holmes. Have you heard me quote this before?
Yes.
When you eliminate what's impossible, what is left, no matter how improbable, has to be the truth. Because we believe in this life of the concept of the absolute truth, the absolute reality. And by that I mean, there are some people who claim that Earth is flat. There are some people called the Flat Earth Society, right? I'll use a different example. There are some people who believe man landed on the moon. And there are other people who challenge the idea that man landed on the moon, saying, oh, there was cameras, there was mirror, there was no wind on the moon, or whatever. So the reality is this: either man did land on the moon or he didn't. Whether you know that reality is another story, but it can only be one or the other. So if man didn't land on the moon, then he didn't land on the moon. You understand? If you claim he landed on the moon, you can believe that. If you claim he didn't, but he has to be one or the other. Yeah. All right. So once we have that concept, we can apply this now to what we're saying. So either Muhammad is a messenger of God, or he's a liar, or he's a deceiver, or he's a madman, or he's deceived by the devil.
Yeah. And when you say messenger of God, because Moses and Jesus are also messengers.
Yeah, of course. All right. So let me add the phrase last and final.
An extra special.
Last and final. Last messenger. The only messenger of God that claimed to come for all of mankind. No other messenger did that. Jesus didn't claim to come for all of mankind. Moses didn't make that claim. But when the Quran makes that claim about Muhammad, and if you look at his actions, he sent a delegation to Rome, Persia, and Egypt, calling them to worship the one God. Now, this is evidence that he's calling Egyptians and Persians and Romans who don't believe in. You understand? If you look at Jesus, go ye not to the Gentile, enter not the city of the Samaritan. I have not been sent but to the lost sheep of Israel. You watch Jesus preaching only to Jews and such. So when we say he's the last and final messenger, he was the only messenger sent to the whole world, but he was the last and final messenger. All right.
No.
So let's use Sherlock Holmes now. Let's eliminate what could be impossible. All right. When we say impossible, we can't prove it's impossible, but our rationale will tell us. All right, let's start with the easiest one to get rid of. It's the devil. It's the devil pretending to be an angel. So he did have a supernatural experience in the cave, but this supernatural experience wasn't what he thought it was. It was a devil imitating an angel to deceive Muhammad, so he was going to deceive the people. Okay.
Is this experience you're talking about in the Quran, yeah? The revelation?
The revelation of the Quran, the initial revelation in the cave, because obviously the whole of the Quran starts from the revelation in the cave. So either in that cave, an angel came, a demon came, nobody came, and if nobody came, he lied about somebody coming, or he didn't lie, he was delusional.
Okay.
Yeah. Fair enough. All right. Because then the Quran took 23 years to come. All right. But this is the origination. So if the lie started there, we'll see if the lie started there. If the madness started there, we'll see if the madness started there. If the demonic deception started there, we'll see if the demonic deception there. Or if the angel came and visited him there, we'll see that also. Yeah? Because we're going to eliminate them one by one. All right. And I can do this quickly, don't worry. It's not going to be a long thing. It's phrasing. All right. Let's get rid of the devil. All right, the only people who believe a devil came to Muhammad is whom? Christians.
Yeah.
No one else makes that claim.
Yeah.
Atheists will never make that claim. They don't believe in the devil. Okay, so let's deal with that claim. According to the Bible, according to what Christians believe in the Bible, when Jesus speaks, he says Satan cannot oppose himself. A house that is divided cannot stand. So Jesus, when he's accused of using a devil, pretending to exorcise demons, when in fact it's a demon doing it, and he's accused of that by the Jews, Jesus clearly says Satan cannot oppose himself. Right? So according to Jesus'
I wasn't expecting you to use the Bible to back up your...
No, because the Christians making this argument, you see. So I'm going to refute them with their book, isn't it? It's the easiest way to do it. So a Christian comes with that argument, and according to the Bible, Jesus cannot oppose himself.
Yeah.
The Quran opposes... Sorry, Satan cannot oppose himself. The Quran opposes Satan, curses Satan, warns you of Satan, tells you to seek refuge from Satan. So according to the teachings of Jesus in the Bible, Satan cannot be the author of the Quran because the Quran opposes Satan. Simple. Okay. So we can dismiss that. And it's only the Christians will come with that, but they're so hypocritical with what they do anyway. And not that I'm saying this is true what the Bible says, but they believe the Bible's true, therefore this is their book. Why are you not adhering to what you... So if your claim is this, your own book refutes your claim, therefore please throw your claim away. Anyone else making a claim? No, right. Continue. Told you it's the easiest one to dismiss. Let's go with liar. Next one is Muhammad had no revelation in the cave. There's no such thing. What he did, he pretended that an angel came to him, and he came and told the people, he had an angel came to me and told me to do this and told you to stop worshipping idols and we should worship one God, and it's all a lie.
Okay.
All right. First thing we need to ask, why did people lie? What's the motive? Money and power? Okay. Let's look at, first of all, did Muhammad ﷺ have that motive? Yeah?
Was he high up in a political...
His uncles were the custodians of the Kaaba.
So he could have motive?
No. His uncles were the custodians of the Kaaba, meaning his family already had the power in Mecca. Okay. First thing. Second thing, he was married to the richest woman in Mecca. Yeah.
So he's got money.
He's got money, and he's already got the potential of status. Third thing.
But they also offered him.
Yeah, I'll come to that. Yeah, and when he was calling to the one God and telling the people to stop worshipping these statues, the Quraysh, his uncles, said to his uncle who loved him, who was closest to him, who brought him up, said, look, go to your nephew, tell him we'll give him his weight in gold, mountain of gold, and any woman he wants to marry and status in the city, just stop telling the people to worship this one God.
King.
Yeah, basically. And when it came to him, he responded, if they were to give the moon, put my moon in the left hand and the sun in my right, I would never give up this call. So he was offered riches, he was offered fame, he was offered whatever he wanted to stop doing this. Now we know, and then we can look at the life of him and what he was known as. He was known as the trusted one, the one who you could rely upon to leave your goods with if you were travelling, and he would take care of it. And when you come back, he wouldn't steal anything, basically. He was the one you would go to if you had a dispute amongst you to arbitrate. This is pre-Islam. This is pre-prophethood. So we have his nature. So the question needs to be asked. He's gone from 40 years of being a truthful man, who everyone trusts.
And can I ask, how do you know all this about Muhammad? Is that through the Quran?
No. This is through the history.
Through the history.
Yeah, we have the hadith, which is the sayings and the teachings of the Prophet ﷺ and the historians and that. So it's not everything like the Quran is not like the Bible where it tells you what Muhammad did and where he went and what he said and who he spoke to. That's not what the Quran is. The Quran is from Allah. The teachings of Muhammad come through the hadith and through the what his companion said he did. Very similar to the Bible, the New Testament, but the difference being is when we hear something that the Prophet did such and such a thing, we would ask, well, who said that? And this person said that, and this person said that, and this person said that. Okay. Were they reliable? Were they trustworthy? Were they there? Okay. The New Testament, we don't have that. We don't have that chain. We don't know who started it. Yeah. So we can't even verify whether the person telling you that thing is actually telling you the truth. We can't even verify whether they were there. So how, if we don't how to say they were there, and we don't know if they were truthful, how do we know what they're saying is the truth? So we have this system. Oh, okay. So going back, and when the Quraysh, when they heard this Quran being recited, they sent their best poets to investigate where's he getting these words from, because we know this man, he's illiterate. He can't come out with this stuff. Where's he getting it from? Their response was, we know he's not a liar, and we know he's not mad. It's magic. Now imagine this, right? You've sent poets to go and hear this Quran being recited, and the only conclusion they come, it's supernatural. So there was something in those words that was supernatural. Okay. I personally believe we can leave lying at this point, because what we have to understand is this. When he came with this call, he was rejected, he was persecuted, they suffered, the people who followed him suffered, they were exiled in the desert to starve to death. The people were told you can't marry the Muslims, people were told you can't sell bread to them. Basically, they tried to starve them in the desert. Now I ask you, would a man who knows what he's saying is a lie, would give up all his status, give up all his position and power, his wealth, and for a lie? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Okay, so I personally believe I can bin that. Then we could come to mental, crazy, delusional, seeing visions, not there. Well, when we look at what the Quran teaches and what it contains, and then we look at the life of the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ and the order and structure of everything, and the way that the Quran will fit 21st century man like a glove, if we follow its guidance, yeah, it's something that can surpass every age. For me,
this is something I would accept now, is that a lot of the stuff that's mentioned still holds weight now. So,
yeah, completely. Even this thing about marriage age, you know, you must have heard about the age of Aisha and stuff like that. All right. What's the marriage age in the Quran? There is none. But what is there? Mental and physical maturity for marriage. So, if you applied the Quran back in the day, let's say 12th century England.
Well, I think even 150 years ago, no?
I'm saying 12th century England. Yeah, in 12th century England, in Blighty in London, you could marry a 6-year-old and consummate the marriage when she was 9, because that was the standard. Okay. Now, for me personally, in England, 18 is too young. I personally believe for marriage. They're not mentally ready, especially now because of the X Factor generation and Love Island and all that stuff. Yeah. They're not ready to be wives and mothers and such. They're kids. I see 18-year-olds like 18, like 12. No. Yeah. So the Quran will apply to that. But now, if I go to Africa, deepest dark African tribe, and the girls there, once they mature, that's it, they're women and they get married, then the Quran can apply there also. Okay. You understand?
I do.
So that in itself, it shows you that this is meant to travel.
Who decides whether it goes?
Well, it would be the parents of the girl, obviously. It will be the judge or the qadi who's performing the ceremony.
The girl herself can refuse.
Yeah, the
girl herself can say, I don't want to get married now. Like, she shouldn't be forced into it.
Because I discovered something the other day, I didn't even think about it before until recently because of all this Islamophobia stuff. Yeah. That this country allows sex with children, permits it. Did you know that?
I didn't know that.
Well, a 16-year-old's a child. An 18-year-old is an adult. So what this country does, it allows you to have sex with a child that they deem is old enough.
Yeah.
But it's not an adult. All right. If you go to Portugal, you can have sex with a 14-year-old because they deem their 14 is okay. So what's going on here? You're allowing sex with children here. Yeah. So in Islam, it doesn't work that way. You can't just have sex with a girl. You've got to marry her, mate. I'm not going to marry a girl. You're going to be a wife, which is like, what?
And it doesn't make sense to me to have for the country decide at legal age, and then, like you say, in 50 years' time it might change.
Yeah.
And everyone's calling someone else a paedophile.
Well, look, if I said to any Englishman today, sex with a 14-year-old, hey, you're pedo, well, go to Portugal, mate, it's all right. So who are you to say it's a pedo when you go there, it's not? See, morality can't even cross the sea, mate. Can't even cross the English Channel. So how's it going to cross 1,400 years? Yeah. Now, me personally, going back to the age of Aisha, I don't believe she was 6 and 9. To be honest with you.
Can I ask, why did you bring up the age of Aisha? Did you assume that it was a misconception for me, or?
It's a normal misconception.
I'll explain something, Jordan, and I'm a very honest. Yeah. I'm talking to you, and I'm also talking to the world. Okay. Right. And there are people in your position who might have heard this misconception.
I'm one of them. Yeah.
Right. Now you might have reconciled it, but there are people who haven't. Yeah. So I do twofold thing here. Yeah? Okay. Do you get me? I'm talking to you and I'm talking to anyone else who's in your position. Yeah. Because you wouldn't believe, Jordan, how many people message me, English lads, watching this English geezer in a park, talking religion. Right, you get me? Their mind is like a pop. Because it's talking. If I was like in a dress and a topion and a miswak in my hand, you'd think, oh, he's just come an Arab, he wants, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, well, but when you see it,
like I said, when I first looked into Islam, you're the first face that came up on my YouTube.
Oh, fantastic!
It was the EF Dawa channel.
Yeah.
It was your stuff. That's how I first started learning, and I think the thing that attracted me originally it was just to speak to my 6-year-old niece.
Mashallah, that's good. Yeah.
But then I noticed that you were anyone that had a question for you, you were answering, and I'm aware you're a good debater. But no one seemed to get one over on you, which was what was. It kept me watching and watching.
And that isn't easy here, you know that?
No,
that isn't easy, because you don't know who is going to open their mouth and say what.
My second time Speaker's Corner, and my first time, it was literally everybody was just going for Islam. It was just like everyone against Islam.
No, it is that way. It is that way.
I didn't want to come back, to be honest. I mean, you said you were coming back today, so it was one of the reasons I came.
Oh, you got the people with semblance today.
I mean, the thing is also there is that it can either be the debater who's very good at debating, or it can be the strength, or it can be the strength of the message itself, which actually for a person's own innate conscience actually is very appealing. It's attractive because many of the things that you may have seen or heard or whatever, or other people may see on the
all the standard ones that I saw was beat your wife. I saw all those videos.
People are afraid of that subject, beat the wife, age of Aisha, and all this stuff. Yeah. Now me,
and I was worried for my niece. That was why I looked into it. I thought, oh, she's going to be a Muslim. She's going to be a Muslim guy. She's going to have no rights.
No.
Yeah. That's what
the problem.
Do you know? I wouldn't just class myself as a dumb bloke. That's people.
But you know whose fault that is? And I'm sorry, guys.
I would say mine.
No.
I would say.
I'll be honest.
You've got to look into yourself.
I blame. Sorry, guys. The sub-Indian continent. Yeah. Because what it. No. You know India.
Yeah.
All right. Because what you got to.
Wait. Hold on a second.
I'm giving these guys a slap. No. What you got to understand is this. You see, before the Muslims of Pakistan and Bangladesh and all these places were Muslim, they were Hindus. Yeah. Now, if you look at Hinduism and the way women are treated in that religion, it's despicable. Yeah. The woman was burned on her husband's funeral with his possessions and such. Yeah. It's disgusting, mate. The way women were treated. All right. And I have to admit, from what I've seen, and this is the only way I can reconcile it, when I see how some
there's misogyny in my background in Christianity.
No, agreed. What I mean is this. Whenever I see a subjugated Muslim woman, it always appears for me, my perspective, maybe it's because of where I live, I don't know, it's the sub-Indian continent. I don't see suppressed Somali women. My missus is Moroccan, yeah?
I wouldn't have to do that, would I?
No. I don't see suppressed Moroccan women. I don't see suppressed Algerian women. Suppressed Turkish women. The only Muslim women I see oppressed is sub-Indian continent. And when I look at the background to it, I can understand where that misogyny might have crept in with the culture. You understand? Because
so, Hamza, you know what it is? That
I'm not generalising, but
what I'm saying is inherently power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. And so men have been, in a powerful position economically, physically, and they will use whatever they can at their reach to enable them to maintain that power. And so if it means misrepresenting religion
exactly.
to suppress their wife, they'll do it. Yeah. If it means a political situation or just physical brute, you know, unfortunately mankind looks for things, even if it means misrepresenting them or misinterpreting them, just to feed their own predisposition.
Exactly.
I am the man, I wear the trousers, you know. And if you want to be like that, then yes, you will find things in Islam to misrepresent, misinterpret, ignore some of the sayings of the Prophet, ignore some of that, and justify your actions. But that's something innate within all human beings. So,
and I would accept that men and women are not equal; they are different.
Of course. What we say is that they're not equal. We know that. Yeah. They're equitable. So each has their rights.
But modern day England, I'd say, would say equal rights and all that. And I think that's a dangerous path to go down.
I've made this claim in the past, and it's quite controversial when I say it, and I'm saying this on camera. I believe there wouldn't be so much unemployment if women were all taking care of the kids.
No, but also
because they're taking the men's jobs.
No, but Hamza, in Islam, women are equal.
Equitable.
No. Women are equal in terms of value and worth to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
No, that's different.
No. But however, they are not the same. They're not the same. So even in the Quran, Allah mentions the man and He mentions the woman in different places of the Quran, but He mentions them exactly the same number of times, showing that in Allah's sight they are equal. But they are, you know, they have different roles in society, as you're saying. And
can I drag it back to the main point?
Yeah, of course.
Go on.
Yeah, because we're going right back to madman and craziness and all. I don't know how we were there. So the point here is this about. Oh yeah, I know how we got there actually, because we ruled out he was possessed by a demon, fooled him, and we've ruled
he's a liar.
Ruled out as a liar. We're on madman, innit?
Ruled out Satan.
No, yeah, Satan went first. Yeah, so we're on the madman now, and the reason we brought all this stuff up was showing you the structure of what he brought is not the result of a madness. Yeah, it's too. Dare I say it, perfect. Islam is, not Muslims. Muslims are people. Yeah, do you get me? But Islam, the teachings. If, like for example, if your niece practices Islam, and don't be offended by what I say now, but she could never be a prostitute.
No.
And she could never be a drug addict, and she can never be a gambling addict, she can never be an alcoholic. Do you understand? Yeah. Inshallah, if she practices Islam, she's going to get married, give you nieces and nephews, inshallah.
But I've obviously the fact that she may wear a hijab one day originally scared me.
Okay.
Now I'm actually quite happy about it.
Oh, alhamdulillah. Yeah. So going back, so would you agree we can throw madness away?
Yes.
Okay. What's left?
And there's also a reason.
No, we did that.
There's also a reason about madness is that a madman will say things that he believes to be true because he's mad. He can't differentiate between what is true and what is not true. And the message doesn't last for 14 centuries and spread amongst the most intellectual circles of society today. So, for example, in England, the average qualification of converts is postgraduate educated people. That message, a madman's message, will not appeal to people of knowledge and understanding. They'll reject it because they'll recognise.
So we can reject crazy. So we can reject madman, yeah? What's left?
He's accepting, isn't it?
When we eliminate what's impossible, whatever's left, no matter how improbable, has to be the truth. So it can only be messenger of God. He is a messenger. Now, unless you don't believe in God, then of course you could rule that out as well. But then we wouldn't start with the second proposition. We start with the first proposition, creator.
Can I ask you?
Yeah.
Obviously, you were in the same position as me.
Yes.
And you accepted the creator first.
Yes.
And then you started looking into Islam.
Yes.
When did Prophet Muhammad come into it? Was it just that? Did that then?
No, actually, you fought against Islam first.
2 years, mate. 2 years, mate. You know what I said about me, debater, mate? I'm a debater, mate.
He was fighting Islam.
You know why? Because Islam was going to cost me everything. That was the whole point. Yeah, because I had a girlfriend who didn't want to accept Islam, didn't want to be a Muslim's wife, didn't want my daughter being brought up as Muslims.
Well, what is it, and how did you accept Muhammad? Because what you just said to me makes sense.
Well, exactly what
but it doesn't necessarily make me think, oh yeah, all of a sudden, you know, it makes me think.
Well, it should do.
It should do. It makes it a very valid.
Well, no, look, you see, we're not playing semantic games here. We're talking about reality here, yeah? And I just give you, we talked about the absolute reality, yeah? And like we talk about man landing on the moon, either man did land on the moon or he didn't. It's one or the other. Yeah, one or the other. With regards to Muhammad, I spread it out, didn't I? Either a demon deceived him, either he lied, either he was mad, yeah, either God doesn't exist and he's not a messenger of anyone, or he's a messenger of God. Now, you accept there is a God, yeah, so we can reject the idea that he's not a messenger of God because there's no God. You get that. You accept he can't be a liar. You accept that, yeah. You accept he's not mad. You accept he's not demon possessed or being deceived by a demon, because you're a Christian, and if you were a Christian, the Bible would refute you. So just as man neither landed on the moon or he didn't, Muhammad is a messenger of God. Now, whether you can embrace that reality is another story. You get me? You get me? Because what does that entail? Now, you've got to understand the gravity of what you're admitting here. That this man, Muhammad, was sent by the Creator to guide me. Why would I be so stupid not to listen to what he had to say? Why would I be so stupid not to follow what he had to say? Because he's like a king sending a messenger. The messenger is representing the king, and the words in that message are from the king. And then you insult the messenger, you insult the king. Isn't it? I'm talking about in that stance, all right? So when Muhammad ﷺ comes with a message from the Creator, you should be buzzing. You should be like, really? The Creator has actually communicated and guided us and shown us a way? And then your next question, what is that way? And you see that way and you think, you know what? That makes sense. So then my next question would have to be, why am I not accepting that?
But you didn't answer my question about what changed it for you then, because you were similar to me.
All right.
Surely someone didn't just say this to you and you went, bang, yes.
I'll tell you what happened to me.
Go on.
Someone did say it to me, obviously not as articulate. Well, someone implied this, okay, and I reflected upon it and I became convinced, you know what, I think it's true. But
not straight away, right?
No, I believe it's true. No.
Okay.
I couldn't argue against it. You see my debates about belief, isn't it? So belief is accepting a proposition, yeah, and accepting the reasons for that proposition. And once you've accepted the reasons for that proposition, the reasons ain't changing. So if you accept it, you accept it. But if by accepting it meant I had to change my life, it's another story, yeah? Because why I'm Bani Adam, I'm weak.
And I'll be honest with you, there probably is something in the back of my mind that by saying to you, I accept it. I have my family.
Agreed.
There's a big, and I know you lost your family.
No, I'm going to come to that though. But I'm going to come to that, right? So, my arguments were exhausted. This is the truth. This really is the truth. But I know the minute I do this, it's costing me everything.
Yeah.
All right. And I said, I'm not ready. I'm not ready to make that upheaval. Leave my daughters, leave my girlfriend, my business. What am I going to do now? I'm going to leave my house. Where am I going to live now? What am I going to do? Yeah, I'm throwing myself into the void. Allah makes a promise. 17 years ago, Allah made me a promise. Not saying, oh, it's you. I'm not talking. No, I'm not a Christian. Yeah, but the promise made by Allah is, huh? No, Allah makes a promise to everybody. Whatever you give up for my sake, I'll replace it with that which is better.
How? How did you hear him?
No.
He didn't say he heard God.
For God's sake. I said I'm not a Christian, mate.
Okay.
All right. So through the teachings of Islam, we're taught that whatever you have to give up for the sake of Allah, so basically, only because I'm Muslim, I'm going to leave my job. Only because I'm becoming Muslim, I'm going to lose my girlfriend. Only because I'm a Muslim, my daughters are going to go with their mother. Only because I'm Muslim, my friends are going to ostracize me. Only because I'm Muslim, my family's going to not speak to me. Yeah? So I'm going to suffer all this for what reason? Because I'm becoming a Muslim. So I'm giving this up. And what Allah says is, whatever you give up, I'll replace it with better. So within 3.5 months, my girlfriend's replaced with a wife.
No, what was your decision?
I'll come to that. I'm just giving an example. All right. So that was my trepidation at that point, and I love gambling. I loved gambling. No one could stop me gambling. Yeah. So no one could stop me doing that. And it's trying to say, oh, you're wasting. I said, look. People go play golf. People go fishing. They buy licenses. They buy rods and whatever. Me, I take 100 quid. I go to. This is what I used to do, honestly, Jordan. I used to do a car boot sale on a Saturday morning. Take about 100 quid. Right. I go to the bookies. Put all my bets on, all my accumulators, all this and that. I go home, watch Let's Soccer Saturday. Now, that was a dream Saturday for me. Yeah. That was what I did. So that was part of everything. So once I became Muslim, my whole life is going to change. I wasn't ready. You know why? Because human beings, we hate change, mate. Yeah, we detest it, man. We hate moving house. We hate changing jobs. We hate changing relationships. We hate change. We are creatures of habit. We like doing what we do. So as soon as change comes, tomorrow's going to be a flipping different day, mate. Yeah, it's not going to be like today. I'm going to have different values. I'm going to have to stop what I eat. I can't do it. Don't get me wrong. When I first realised it was the truth, I stopped drinking alcohol 2 years before. Yeah, so I nearly had a fight in a pub. Well, actually, it wasn't nearly. I did have a fight in a pub. You know why? I'm not going to live off point. I was drinking Coke in a pub, and I wasn't driving, right? I was drinking Coke. And some geezer said to me, he goes, "What are you drinking Coke for, mate?" I said, "I'm not drinking alcohol, mate. I'm on a Coke." "Why, yeah, but you're not driving, are you?" I said, "No." He goes, "Well, why are you drinking beer?" I said, no, I don't need to drink beer, mate." "All right." He goes, "Yeah, why are you drinking beer, mate?" Okay, so I lectured him on alcohol. Right? And he goes, "What you say? Good enough for you, not good enough for us." And I'm getting into a fight because I don't want to do what... Right, so this is how people are. You know what I'm saying?
I've obviously, since watching your... A lot of thing you come up with a lot is the 5 points.
Oh.
And I lecture my friends now. Even though, you know, I still have a drink.
No, I get you.
I want to give up alcohol.
Alhamdulillah.
Because all the mistakes I've made in my life, I love women. All my mistakes I've made have been alcohol induced. And I think back to what I've done in my life. And
it's horrible, isn't it?
Also, it's all been encouraged to me. I've been told to drink. I've been told that if I sleep around, I'm a man.
If you don't have a drink when your 18th birthday, there's something wrong with you.
Gambling, a hell of a lot. Yeah, that's true. I've given up gambling already because I lost a big.
Yeah.
Again, that's all the billboards tell you to gamble.
Well, I worked in the bookies for a year.
Mortgage.
You know that I worked in the bookies for a year. After that, I never bet on dogs and horses because it's fixed. Yeah. But the football that I did. Right. So anyway, back to the main point. So I wasn't ready to change my life and upheave my life, right? And I was going to see a client.
It's interesting, sorry, that you were willing to do, like in the stage where I'm at, even though I'm not accepting Islam fully, I'm sort of trying to go along with the guidance that I'm hearing.
No, exactly. I realised the alcohol, you know what, you got a bang on point there, I ain't doing. But everything else, I wasn't ready to do it. I really wasn't. I was 27, yeah? And then what happened, and you might have seen this, I don't know, one of my videos, I was going to see a client about a loan.
You were a finance advisor?
Yeah, I have my own finance company. Yeah, and I was living in South Wales at the time, so on the M4, and I didn't realise they cordoned off the fast lane, and it's raining heavy. So I'm driving my car, next thing you know, I'm skidding into these bollards in the fast lane, because I didn't realise they bollarded it off. So I skidded to a halt, rain pounding on the car. I know it sounds dramatic, it's like a movie, isn't it? Rain pounding on the car, and I was like, oh my God, I could have died right now. This moment in time, I could have died. And I would have stopped gambling. And I would have said goodbye to my daughters. And I would have said goodbye to my family. And then I went, whoa, wait a minute. What am I doing? It was a moment of clarity. What am I doing? I'm holding on to things I'm going to lose anyway. I'm not going to keep these things that I think I've got hold of. And I might think I'm going to hold on to them for the next 10, 15 years, but I could have lost them that day. And I said, you know what, this is ridiculous. If I'd have died right now, what would have happened to me? Because I believe, but I'm not believed. I said, you know what, that's it, I can't do this anymore. I just have to, I have to bear. That was it, man, that was it, man. I said, you know what, that's it.
So it took quite a lot for you to finally... Because you're saying to me, accept it with...
Okay, bear one thing in mind, I'll make it easy for you. All this happened within 3.5 weeks. You can join us for food.
I don't know which one.
Yeah, Jordan's going to join us anyway. Okay. Just hold on, about 5-10 minutes.
It's one thing that unites everyone, isn't it?
Food.
Yeah. Doesn't matter what you believe. Good food.
So I'm here in London. I said, look, I'll smash the meeting on September the 13th, which is the Friday, and I'm pretty sure September was 11th. I was on the Wednesday. So anyway, so I sat in my friend's office on September 11th, and I'm chatting to his dad, this old man, Afghani man, and he's talking to me about this Osama bin Laden character and Sudan and this and that. And in my mind, I'm thinking, who's this black geezer from Africa? What's he talking to me about this guy for? But, you know, because there was the time when Clinton bombed some chemical hospital, saying it was a chemical factory or something. Anyway, and then we heard this news about these planes going into these buildings, and I'm thinking, okay. I was thinking like a little biplane or something. I didn't realise it was airliners. And his last words to me, his dad, was, because he said they blame Osama bin Laden for everything. He goes, oh, they'll blame this on Osama bin Laden too. That was his last words to me. Anyway, the meeting got cancelled because of this. By the time it was rescheduled, I'd had my near-death encounter, and I was ready to be a Muslim. So I actually went to the meeting. I was sat there with these American businessmen blaring on about finance, and I was thinking, I want to be a Muslim, man. I'm wasting my time, I'm wasting their time, my time. I had to go back to my dad and say, look, I can't do this anymore.
Being a Muslim would have stopped you doing that job straight away, would it?
Riba, finance, interest. Don't get me wrong, okay. We're not saying become a Muslim, change your life overnight. A flower don't grow in a day. Yeah? We always say, you take your shahada. Yeah, you plant your seed. You learn to pray. Your prayer is like the water of the seed. And then your Islam will grow from that. And then you'll slowly start adopting everything as a Muslim. Yeah? Obviously, you'll start trying to stop drinking alcohol, stop gambling, food will change and things like that. Do you get me? But it doesn't have to happen straight away. I heard someone say it's like 40 days you have to get into it, if you like. Me, Jack and the Beanstalk. Yeah? Forget flowers growing a day, flipping Beanstalk next day.
I think
Cut everything, man.
I think if I do it, I want to do it properly. But,
you know what? It was Allah's promised me this stuff. Let's see. Let's see. I've given up everything now. Yeah, for this truth. And I said to someone earlier, look, I didn't become Muslim because I liked it. I didn't become a Muslim because I wanted to make my life better and happy, and I was miserable and I needed some. No, it was the truth, mate. Like it, don't like it. It's the truth, mate. Yeah, like eating bacon, tough, mate. It's the truth, mate. Like gambling, so what? It's the truth, mate. Reality. So my embracing Islam was just because I believe it's true, mate. It's the reality. And if something's a reality, unfortunately, what goes with it goes with it. That's why when people say to me, should I read the Quran? I had a girl come all the way from Brighton today, yeah? She, again, watching the videos. And, you know, she said, should I read the Quran before becoming a Muslim? I said, no. Yeah, because that's Satan's last hope for you, against you. Yeah, his first hope is you don't accept God exists. Once he's lost that, he can't use that anymore. He'll then try to say, oh, Muhammad's not a messenger of God. Once he's lost that, then what will he do? He will tell you to read the Quran. Satan will tell you to read the Quran. Why? Because if that's your last stand, if you like, once you finish the Quran, you're going to embrace Islam or not, he will get you into it, and then he will delay you and make you procrastinate, and he will hope that you will leave it, forget about it, and whatever. Do you understand? Now, when you read the Quran, not as a Muslim, it's just theory. It's just what they do, what Allah's told them to do. Do you understand? But when you accept Islam, you'll spend the rest of your life reading the Quran. You've got your whole life to, inshallah, to read it, understand it, contemplate, reflect.
Can I ask you,
go on.
So you said, so you had that near-death experience on the motorway, on the M4?
Yeah.
But before that, you were looking into Islam, and you were kind of accepting it. But something was stopping you from fully accepting it before you had that.
After 9/11.
I'd like to know you what.
Yeah. No. What I'm saying is after 9/11 was, look, before 9/11, I didn't allow my Muslim friends to really talk to me about Islam. Before 9/11. Before 9/11, when they tried to talk to me about Islam, I asked them, are you praying? They said no. I said, well, if you're not doing Islam, why are you trying to bring me to Islam? So it was my excuse. I'm not into, yeah? 9/11 happened, Muslims got emotional and started to pray. So when I asked the same people, are you praying 5 times a day? They said yes. So I was like, oh, flipping that, my excuse is gone now. So the reason I used to not talk about religion, yeah? Because I didn't believe in religion. I didn't believe in man-made religion. I believed in a creator. I believe religion was created by to control the masses. I had that nonsense idea. So because the person trying to tell me about Islam wasn't practicing Islam, is a lesson here. Because for me, it's hypocritical. You're trying to tell me to embrace something and cost me everything, and yet you're not doing it. Why would I sacrifice everything I got to become a Muslim, and I see you and you're not doing it? All right. So I didn't give them a chance to talk to me. And what happened after 9/11? They did start practicing Islam. They did start praying. And then when they tried to speak to me again about it now they were praying and they were doing Islam. I couldn't say, well, you're a hypocrite now. So then I listened. And when I listened and I reflected and contemplated, from that point, 3 weeks later, I became a Muslim. And in that time, the meeting with the businessman, in that time, the near death, yeah? And then October the 7th, in his house, I took my shahada. I said, you know what? Because what he said to me, he goes, look, don't worry about where you're going to live. You can come and stay here. I'll give you a room here. Just stay here for me. His brother said, don't worry, I'll give you a job in my office. I was living in South Wales at the time. So he says, look, you could be office manager in my office. And his other brother said, don't worry, you can stay at my gaff. So I'm thinking, you know what? The logistics are in place now. Because if I leave my whole life behind now. I'm not going to be on the streets. I'm going to have somewhere to stay. I'm going to have a means of income, and I can start rebuilding again as it is. That was 17 years ago. And I've never, ever, ever, ever looked back. The only thing I may have looked back on is my daughters. Maybe I could have made more effort. But they went back to Wigan, and did you hear the story about my ex on one of the videos? All right, my name's Darren, innit? So she's in this nightclub. She went back to Wigan. Her birthday, I accepted Islam October the 7th. November the 30th, she's in a nightclub back in Wigan. She sees this geezer. She goes, what's he doing here? Thinking it's me. This geezer, right, is a spitting image of me.
Was it John?
Spitting image of me, same name as me. Darren. She's married to that guy now. Got kids together and everything. And it's like, it's just amazing. And it's like Allah basically said, I'm taking him, but you can have him. And the amazing thing is this as well, you see, because my missus was quite strong-willed. She comes from a strong family. Her grandfather's Billy Boston, one of the first black rugby league players in Wigan. Anyway, big, strong family, respected family, and the women are basically strong women. So when we first started going out and whatever, I said, look, please don't ever try and control me. Tell me what to do and this, that, and the other. Don't henpeck me. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to accept it. And she's got a geezer now who she can do that to.
Did she not accept your Islam? She didn't accept it?
No.
She said it's over.
I worked on her for 10 weeks after. And the last thing was, I said, look, you've chose your family over me now, because your family said they're going to cut you off if you not even become Muslim. Just marry him, all right? We're going to cut you off, this, that, the other. And I said, well, your family going to die one day. And then she hit me with, well, what if you die? Oh, fair enough. Fair enough.
Steady on.
Yeah, exactly. No, it was like, well, you're right, because So anyway, she made her choice, and it's worked out for her. But the funny thing is, she met a guy just like me. All right. Now me, I'll say it again. Everything that I give up has been replaced with better. Everything. Friends are now brothers. The pub is now the mosque. Yeah, my work from finance. I would have gone down with the finance. You know that. When all that subprime lending thing went down, I would have gone down with it. All them lenders were getting hits. Southern Pacific and Kensington Mortgages and all that. They were all my lenders. So my business would have gone down the Swanee if I still did it, because they were what I based it all on. All right, all this. Was it PPI? We used to sell PPI left, right, and centre. It's for everyone. All right, it's all his fault. That's it.
You owe me money.
Yeah. But now my business now is. I used to be selling Islamic goods, but now I just sell, skirt, hijabs, and all that. That's my business, and it's my passion, and I love it. So that was replaced. My Sunday pub football replaced with Friday night 7 or 6-a-side football. Everything. My girlfriend replaced with a wife. Yeah, my daughters, alhamdulillah, I got 2 daughters again now. We think I hand the moon at night. You understand? There's nothing I regret in that sense, yeah? And it was all on a promise that I give up everything, I put myself in your hands, and subhanAllah, the promise is fulfilled. So I would say to anyone now, don't wait for a near-death experience. You know why? Because that could be a death experience. Yeah? That could be a death experience. And then you ain't got a chance to, should do this, that, the other, because it's too late. Yeah? And I'll leave you with the beautiful teaching of the Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. We're going to go eat anyway, yeah? You're going to come with us, yeah? All right. The Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said this: when you wake up in the morning, don't expect to go to sleep at night. When you go to sleep at night, don't expect to wake up in the morning. Live every day as if it's your last, because it could be. And when you go to the graveyards and you look at the ages on the tombstones, it ain't all 45-year-olds, 55-year-olds, 3-year-olds, 10-year-olds, 15-year-olds, 23-year-olds, 21-year-olds. How old are you?
34.
34-year-olds. Yeah? Die. Rich people die. Poor people die. Fat people, thin people. Everyone's going to die, man. But guess what? We all have this clock above us. Imagine like a Die Hard movie with the bombs ticking to 0. Everyone in this part now has a timer above them. And every breath you take and every beat of your heart is a second closer to that timer hitting 0. And once it does, it's all over. Now you might have 25, 30, 50 years left. You might have 3 weeks. You might have a day. We don't know. But guess what? It is going to hit 0. And the question needs to be asked, if you believe a creator exists, then what's going to happen after? Is this just it? The creator created everything it? Tormented us, punished us, give us trials and tribulations for nothing? But then when you hear the messenger of this creator, no, that ain't the case, mate. This messenger says what? Don't be heedless. Don't think it's the end. What does Allah say? What does the creator say to the messenger in the Quran? We did not send you as a dictator over them, O Muhammad. Merely a warner. So all the Quran is a warning to you, Jordan, that this life is not it. And get ready, inshallah. Jordan, take care.
One last thing I just had to add at the end.
Oh no, that's it. Come on, that was like a movie. C'est fini. Fini.
Reaction of people around you. So we're told that Allah will stay silent.
Yeah, how you doing? I'll hug you again, my brother. How is everything, man? It's been a long time.
What conversation going on here, bro? I'm sorry. I can't complain.
Yeah, how's your Islam going on?
Oh yeah, really good, really good. I mean, pray.
You coming to eat with us? You coming to eat with us?
Depending on what time.
Put down the bus, please.
I don't care about what people think, what they say, how will they perceive me. But Allah on that day will say to us, it was better for you to have feared me. and that's something to sort of...
What I was trying to get out of Hamza, I didn't want to keep badgering about it. The question was, obviously he said that he sort of accepted Islam,
yes.
And then he had the near-death experience.
Yes.
So I was kind of wondering what held him back, and I was wondering possibly it's because of that, because
yes.
worried about
so
it.
for a lot of people it's
now he can look back and everything's been replaced. It's good.
You know, my wife converted to Islam 3 years before I met her. She's a very educated woman, European, you know. And I said, why? I was interested. I said, what made you convert to Islam? I said, did you read the Quran? And she said, no, I didn't read the Quran. She said, I just studied the life of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And I knew that this was none other than the Prophet that we had been foretold in our own scriptures, in the old scriptures, the Torah, in the Jewish scriptures. I recognized that this was the person that was spoken about. And so that was enough for her. She converted. Mashallah, she's read the Quran afterwards, but that was enough. But for different people, it will be different things. You know, so for one woman, she might see a Muslim man praying. She'll find that so beautiful that, how do I become Muslim? She'll accept Islam. But so for somebody else, it's something else, you know?
And I think I'm probably quite lucky in the sense my sister wears a hijab, my sister is a Muslim, she's a Turkish father. So my family's already accepted it.
Yes, yes. Yes. So the question now...
It's still a scary...
so the question... Hamza didn't ask you the question.
I was going to sidestep.
Hamza didn't ask you the question. Hamza! Where's Hamza? Brother, you missed the most important question at the end. Which was that, mashallah, you know, the brother obviously accepts everything, right?
Yes.
So what now stops him from verbally accepting it and accepting Islam? That's what I
don't know. Something does.
See, here's you got to understand, Jordan, right? All you do when you take your shahada is bear witness to what you believe. That's all you're doing. Yeah, you're actually, but you know when you go to become a British citizen, yeah, it's a formality. You know, yeah, exactly, formality. Like for example, if you're living in England, yeah, you could live in England 50 years from another country, but until you go take your citizen oath, you're never a British citizen, yeah. So it's not the length of. So basically, that's all shahada is. Yeah, and a flower don't go in a day, and like we said to you, and if you truly believe this, bear witness to that, and start your journey.
And trust in Allah after that.
Yeah, because what's going to change, honestly, in reality? Nothing. You might start changing your habits. Obviously, the alcohol will probably go, because you think, you know what, my Creator has warned me against this. I'd be stupid to ignore my Creator. Just for example, yeah. But you don't have to go to your family. I'm a Muslim. There's so many cameras.
It doesn't help.
But I'm saying you don't have to declare it to the world. Yeah, it's between you and your Creator. Yeah. And mashallah, like I say, I always say to people, look, if you truly believe, if you believe those two propositions, forget winged horses. Yeah. If you believe those two propositions, that is what will make you a Muslim.
Yeah. And you understand my difficulty because it took a near-death experience for you to accept.
Of course.
But I think my cost was a lot more than yours.
I agree.
What I was leaving behind was another level. And also, nobody spoke to me like I'm speaking to you. In that sense, yeah. I didn't. If someone spoke to me, an English person, I would honestly, if an English geezer like me told me that he was in my position that time and this happened to him, I probably wouldn't have waited. I probably wouldn't have waited for that near-death experience. Yeah. But because no one had that, done that for me, I didn't have that, did I?
I've travelled here from Hertfordshire to see you today.
Okay, alhamdulillah.
So again, the question: what stops you from verbalising what you already have in your heart?
I mean, do you want to leave here as a believer? And get on with your journey?
I would like to go home and ponder. I wouldn't. I mean, I'm going to be coming back. But so.
Here's what I always say. I
wanted to come today and just peer from the background, maybe see one of your face, and then run off.
Allah had something else in store for you.
I've got some literature for you anyway. Okay, but here's.
I feel like I don't know enough.
No, but here's what I'm going to say.
I'm not somebody that can just listen to somebody and take something.
Agreed.
Even though you're very, very.
No, reflect upon what's been said.
I have to take it.
But what I was going to say to you is this: you see, if you believe those two propositions, yeah, I will say this to you: nothing you read, nothing you watch, nothing you hear is going to convince you of those two propositions because you're already convinced. Do you understand? So all you're going to do is delay yourself. Yeah? And what did I say to you? That's all Satan has left for you. Procrastination.
You know the reason why
Delay
they're asking you repeatedly? It's just to make a small point.
Yeah.
The reason they're asking you repeatedly is that the only difference that making the statement that you testified as only Allah is worthy of worship and that Muhammad is his messenger, peace be upon him, the only difference it makes is these are the keys for paradise. So whatever happens from this point forward, whether you, and God forbid, you're on the way home and you have a near-death experience, or even a death experience, or whether you go home and your journey then has begun and it's a very long and slow journey where you sort of take... What you've done is this two-pronged attack from Satan, i.e. one is to delay you and the other thing is to put you in a position where you sort of start to get doubts about things that have already become clear, because that can happen as well when you reread things. A doubt that you didn't have before can suddenly come. So this is a two-pronged attack from Satan.
Yeah, because he's not just delaying you.
Absolutely.
He's going to mess around with what you've been told.
I agree. And for me personally, and this is no disrespect, if I was to do something like a shahada, I wouldn't be doing it in an audience. I wouldn't be doing it.
That's why we're going to go eat.
So restaurant is okay then. It was a pleasure to meet you, brother. It was
He's coming with us.
He's coming with us, man.
Oh, he's coming with us. Come on then. Okay.
So what's your name? Jordan. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Okay. Let's go and eat then, Jordan.